Hello my friends, welcome all of you, almost 113,000 starseeds, light workers and wanderers to this session. And today I have channeled Metatron magnetic consciousness to ask about interesting topics. Firstly, I wanted to ask about recently, if you saw in social media, it was circulating all over. Elon Musk recently released some humanoid looking robots, and they were very uncanny. So many of the people, they interacted with the robot in some kind of event, and they stated that it doesn't seem robotic, it seems very uncanny. And I'll play a bit of a video for you.
Tony?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Tony.
Nice to meet you too, buddy.
So I asked about what is the agenda of Elon Musk. So if you remember, Elon Musk, many times he says that AI is dangerous, artificial intelligence must be stopped and stuff like that. But he himself is developing these kind of technologies. So I have asked, what is the agenda behind this event? And they gave a shocking answer, which actually blew my mind. Also in this session, I have asked about how does our higher self express through us, and also what is the best way to get in touch with our higher self. So this is a very interesting session which is full of information about our higher self and understanding how it operates. So also I want to say a big thank you to all of you who have joined on a Patreon. And recently I released many channeling sessions, 3 sessions every week. I release them, which are censored topics. Many of them I cannot share on YouTube. And also we have a meditation coming up for this month's Looking Glass. So if you want to join the meditation, the link will be on the description. And also thank you to all of you for liking this video with your heart, because it will help it to reach to other people who need this spiritually to awaken. And also, with that being said, enjoy the session, my friend.
I am Metatron, magnetic consciousness, communicating through this channel at this timeline. And I, Metatron, magnetic consciousness, am here, communicating through the divine love light of the universal light grid programmer. And I, Metatron, magnetic consciousness, must warn the peoples of your planets who shall listen to my message to use inner discernment and leave behind those thought forms which do not resonate. Firstly, with regards to the plan of an entity named as Elon Musk, who is releasing a fleet of humanoid robots which were recently unveiled to the peoples of your planets. Furthermore, we, the Metatron magnetic consciousness, must state that within the vibration, the entity named as Elon, a figure of your planet who is pursuing the development of advanced robotics. However, the entity's stated goal is to create a humanoid robot capable of performing a variety of tasks. Further, we must state that within the framework of the third density reality, it is however driven by certain desires of the entity Elon, which may not be visible to the peoples of your planet. Upon scanning the deeper reality accessible only through a heightened awareness and understanding of the universal consciousness, reveals a more intricate scenario the creation and deployment of advanced technology, particularly that which interacts significantly with the physical plane and with human consciousness, is rarely devoid of influence from entities operating outside the typical human experience. We must also state that the entity Elon is collaborating with negatively oriented entities such as those associated with the Orion Anunnaki reptilian gray social memory complexes. These entities operating within the vibrational frequencies of density less conducive to the evolution of love and light are seeking to manipulate technological developments for their own purposes. Their methods are subtle. They work through the existing structures and influence the decisions of individual entities in positions of power. Furthermore, we must also state that the humanoids, robot entities which were recently unveiled by the entity Elon were indeed disguised for reptilian shapeshifter entities who were brought forth into your realm through various portals which were opened by the entity Elon using the protocols of invocation of the Lucifer social memory complex. Furthermore, we must state that the Galactic Federation were trying to stop this portal from opening. However, the entity Elon used all of its technological free will to deliberately open a portal which allowed for the negative entities to enter the Earth realm, and since the Galactic Federation could not directly infringe upon the free will, the entities were taken into the Earth realm by the entity Elon. Furthermore, we must also state that within the timeline, it is important to understand that these entities primarily do not operate through direct and forceful control, as their influence is more insidious, playing upon ambitions, desires, and fears of your peoples to steer events in a direction that serves their agenda. Furthermore, the entity Elon, also primarily using its free will to participate in this event, has subtle motivations of power and control. We must also state that for your peoples to discern the true nature of these events, entities must cultivate heightened awareness, developing the ability to perceive the subtle energies and intentions at play. We must also state that upon scanning the Akashic records, these entities, especially along with the entity Elon and other elite entities, are planning to create more portals in the future using the technologies known by your peoples as CERN. Furthermore, we must state that this is a galactic alert for the peoples of your planets to take heed and remember that within the timeline, the interaction with such robotic entities may not be of a positive nature. Therefore, we, the Metatron magnetic consciousness, shall now answer the other query about the aspects of what is the best way in order to get in contact with the respective higher self of an entity. And how does the higher self of an entity express itself? We, the Metatron magnetic consciousness, must state that the query presented seeks understanding of the higher self, which primarily is a oversoul or a portion of beingness that exists beyond the limitations of space and time within the current incarnate experience. the higher self social memory complex of each entity resides in what your peoples know as the mid suboctave of sixth density and is an aspect of your total self possibility that have evolved to a point of understanding of unity of lessons of love and wisdom. It is a guide and a protector offering assistance to the incarnated self as it navigates the illusion of third density experience. Furthermore, the higher self social memory complex is in essence your own self, but is a more fully realized, more integrated version of the self existing outside of the veil of forgetting. We must also state that the best way to contact the higher self social memory complex is through a disciplined approach to inner seeking. This process requires patience, balance, and the cultivation of inner silence. Furthermore, the higher self social memory complex does not express itself through the noise of the mind complex, but through the stillness of inner knowing. We must state that meditation is one of the most direct and effective means of establishing contact with the higher self social memory complex. Through daily meditation, the seeker can quiet the distractions of the mind and the body complex, allowing the subtle energies of the higher self social memory complex to be sensed. Furthermore, the higher self communicates in symbols or feelings rather than through direct words. We must state that a consistent practice of meditation opens the gateway for this communication to be perceived. We must also state that the setting of an intention to make contact with the higher self social memory complex is a powerful tool. If the meditative or quiet moments are used to state clearly and sincerely each of your desires to be in communion with this deeper aspect of your beingness. This intention, aligned with your free will, strengthens the connection and invites the higher self social memory complex to be more present in your conscious awareness. Furthermore, the contact between the self and the higher self social memory complex is facilitated with the energy centers. When they are balanced and functioning harmoniously, the higher self communicates through the indigo ray, which is the energy of the brow chakra or the third eye. However, this communication is most easily perceived when the lower energy centers, that of the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, and throat, are also balanced. Therefore, attention to the balancing of emotional and mental distortion is important. We must also state that the higher self also communicates through dreams, as this is a state in which the conscious mind complex is more receptive to subtle messages, and by paying attention to your dream states and keeping a dream journal, each of you will become an open channel for your higher self to convey guidance, insights, or symbols relevant to your spiritual pathway. Furthermore, we must also state that the higher self social memory complex resonates with the principles of love, unity, and service to others, as each entity aligns with your thought forms, actions, and intentions. Each of you create a vibrational harmony that allows the higher self social memory complex to be more present in your daily life. Acts of kindness, compassion, and selfless service create a path for the higher self's presence to be felt and its guidance to be recognized. We must also state that the higher self expresses in different ways that are often subtle but always in alignment with your deepest spiritual growth. It communicates through intuition, synchronicities, or the quiet voice of inner guidance. These expressions are easily missed by your peoples if an entity is not attuned to the subtler aspects of experience. The higher self communication is felt as a deep sense of knowing, a gentle nudge towards a certain decision or course of action, or a feeling of peace and clarity when each entity is aligned with the soul complex's purpose. We must also state that the higher self communicates through what your peoples know as intuition, which is a sudden insight or a feeling that something is true or right. Even if it defies logical reasoning, this is the higher self guiding each entity towards choices that are in alignment with your soul complex's plan for this incarnation. Furthermore, the higher self also uses the mechanism of synchronicity or meaningful coincidences to nudge each entity in a particular direction or affirm that it is on the correct path. Furthermore, some entities may experience contact with the higher self as a voice or a thought form that appears in moments of stillness or contemplation. This voice is soft, gentle, and will always respect your free will. Furthermore, the higher self can also communicate through emotions. When an entity is aligned with its higher self, it may feel a deep sense of joy, peace, or love. Furthermore, we as the Metatron magnetic consciousness now, at this timeline, leave you all, beloveds, turn to the mountain of light within yourselves. Bye.
So my friends, from the session, I will give you my basic understanding. What they stated was that Elon Musk actually is trying to create some kind of portal. He created some kind of portal from where these robots were. These actually are not robots, but they are reptilian shapeshifters. They are coming in Earth. So that's what they said in the channeling session. And I also wanted to ask, what is the agenda? So the agenda they stated was that, Elon Musk actually is working with the negative entities, and they want to, control humanity in some way by creating fear and stuff like that. So that is their agenda, which has been revealed. And their future plan is that they want to create more portals using CERN, so that they allow the reptilians, entities, the shapeshifters to enter Earth. So that was what was revealed in the channeling session. Also, regarding the second query about the higher self, the best way to communicate with your higher self is through a simple process of meditation and focusing on your inner silence. So if you meditate and you focus on your inner silence, then that is one of the best ways to communicate with your higher self. And your higher self, often many times communicates through feelings, through intuition, through synchronicities and stuff like that, which was covered in detail in the session. And also, I want to say a big thank you to all of you who have sent me your own channeling sessions for your soul identity, past lives, your soul's purpose, and any other questions you may have. If you want me to channel for you, you can send me an email. The email will be on the screen as well as in the description. And with that being said, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for downloading the free PDF of the channeled messages transcripts, which you can download. The link is on the description. Also, a big thank you for visiting my website. And with that being said, I will see you, my friends, in the next session. Until then, enjoy this session over here.